So this is my first lineup video, and as such, I'll do a quick explanation as to how this video will go. There will be 3 difficulties. Easy, meaning easy to remember and very consistent with little practice. Medium, meaning a little hard to learn, but mostly simple once you remember them. And hard, meaning not very easy to remember, and also requires some practice to get consistent. On top of this, I will not go into the uses of these lineups and when to use one over the other. Instead, I will briefly explain where and how, and then leave it to you to figure out the rest. That said, let's get into the video. If you find yourself in A main, in a post-plant situation, if you go up against this wall, line up the rope with this edge, aim up just right here at this tapered line right in the middle of it, and left click, you will land right on default for the post-plant. This is a post-plant lineup in nest on A site. If you line up the edge of this railing with this, right? Line your crosshair right up in this little corner. Throw that should land perfectly on this box right under, which will not only hurt default, but it will hurt inside. If you're sitting here on pipes, you tuck yourself in this corner, not on the ledge, underneath it. You want to line yourself up. There will be these lines going across the ceiling. This first one in this little triangle, if you line it up with the edge of the wall and the line up just to the right, throw this one will land behind, close right. If you raise it up to the second one, this one will land on A default. When in A screens, line up your left diamond with the edge right here, where it tapers, and just left click. It'll bounce off the ceiling and land perfectly on default. For A side default, to prevent the attackers from planting, if you line yourself up with this rail, line your crosshair just with this ice, kind of like where it lines up right here, and run until your crosshair meets this line. So you put that there, run, throw, it will land on default to prevent the plant. Find yourself playing mid and you want to stop the default plant, you line up your crosshair just somewhere in this area where just to the right of this, line it up here and throw after your crosshair passes the doorway. This will bounce off the back wall and land on default to prevent the plant. If you're in A main, you line yourself up right here, then you look at this edge, right? There's a first box and a second box. You line yourself up with this edge of the top of the middle of the second box, throw, and that will land on default. If you're now in the same spot under belt, you line up the same spot where you would for default, except down. So instead of the top line, it'd be the bottom line, same spot, middle. Now you're gonna jump throw, but you're only gonna throw at the peak of your jump.
Placing swarm grenade.
That should land perfectly inside of the tube. In B main, if you lock yourself into this corner, aim right where these things meet, and right in this edge, this will land default. If you raise it up just halfway, that will land in nest. Default, nest. When behind yellow, if you lock yourself into this corner with the box, you aim your crosshair just at this little corner and throw, that will land in the top of nest. And then if you line up your left diamond with the tip of these crane little hinges, right? The little hydraulic presses, you throw, that will land default. Find yourself in kitchen hallway, first clear this out. Line up the rope, the left side of this, right? It's just not too important, it just needs to be in this general area. Put your crosshair right in the corner here. You just want to do a quick run throw. While in Snowman, if you walk over this corner, lock in, place your crosshair right here at the tip of the crane, and throw, that will land on default. When in CT spawn, if you stand on the right railing next to kitchen, aim at the star just above the crane, the first star, and throw, that will also land on default. On B site, if you line up the edge of the box with the edge of the crate, Aim your crosshair at the tip here, and then lower it until your right diamond hits the line on the top crate, the bottom line on the top crate, and you throw. This will land perfectly behind yellow. If you are outside kitchen window, you stand right here, around this edge, up to the line, and if you look, the edges of the ice is a little dip, 1 peak, 2 peak, 3rd peak, and on the 3rd peak, you line up the left side, the little design for your molly, left click, and that will land on default. This is from mid to B top of nest. Line up around here, but if you look at the left diamond and the right diamond, where they meet has to line up perfectly with that, and you do a quick jump throw. Now this should land perfectly in nest, where you can then pop it, and then afterwards play from mid right here. These last lineups are a bit odd in the way that I myself have not found a very good use for them. They may even be useless, but they exist, and here they are. If you're in mid here, if you line yourself up with this crease right next to the A, aim up at the stars in between the blue star, big blue star, and the small blue star right here. It should land on top of the tube. And if you want it to go instead deeper on top of the tube, you aim at this left star and just go just below, and this will land below it. From this mid spot, this slightly, instead of here, it's right here. You want to throw it into tube, you line it up with, make sure you're in this edge, right? Just kind of line it, make sure you're like where you can see inside the tube, line it up to here, and throw when you get right at this sill. It should hit the tip of this and land right there. A simple yet effective throw is you put yourself here, right next to A heaven, line up with the railing right here, throw, and that will land right next to both cubbies. Pop that and it'll clear them both out. This one is a lot more niche, but if you find yourself on this side of the site when they are planting default, you can line up with this, aim right at the tip of the crane right here, tip of the orange, the highest bit, just right here, right? Left click, and that will land on default to prevent the plant. This one's a bit more niche. If you lock yourself in this corner on screens, line up your crosshair with this corner and run until you hit the ramp and then throw, that will also land perfectly on default. So this one's a little bit odd, but if you line yourself up back of this crate, then you look at these stars in the sky, there is a small bright star, just at the top left of it, a small dim star. You want to line yourself up between these, right, horizontally, and go all the way down until you hit the crease in the crate, and then you do a half jump throw. And this should land perfectly in kitchen window. With the last lineups out of the way, I want you to know that I stream consistently over at twitch.tv/crazyfr. Come stop by if you ever need any Killjoy tips or want to see these lineups in action. On top of that, I would really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe to my channel since this video took a long time to make. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.